So pretty much I was working 12-hour shifts
Mm-hmm.
and that took some adjustment. There was a lot of adjustments actually. But the shifts was different. I've never in my life worked a 12-hour
shift work, yeah.
Yeah, like a 12-hour shift at that.
You wanted to be in the big leagues.
Yeah, this is what I asked for. And
Yeah.
honestly, once they put the contract in front of my face, I was willing to do whatever it took. I was like, all right, like this is gonna suck, but I'm working 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
But the contract,
12-hour days.
yeah, 12
How much money were you making? You were working 6 days a week, 12-hour days. You had the $150 per diem. What type of money were you making?
So overseas, given the bonuses, and everything, it was about $269,000.
Welcome back to another episode of Day in My Tech Life. My name is Simone B, also known as Bees, and today we have our guest, David. David is an incident response analyst, and he works as a DoD contractor. Welcome on to the interview series, David. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to tell David's story for a while now because I think his story is really, really dope. He wanted to get into tech, and he had reached out to me a while ago. So when you first wanted to get into tech, like what's your background? Did you grow up around tech? Like, how did you get in?
I always knew I wanted to be into tech, but I was always interested in technology in general. But I wouldn't go as far as to say as I was deep in it. I didn't grow up building computers. I didn't grow up coding, but I was just interested in technology. I would say Best Buy was always like my favorite store.
Okay, so you was in Best Buy a lot. So where are you from?
So I was actually born in the UK.
For real?
Yeah. I was born in the UK.
You like 21 Savage.
Basically.
Remember when 21 Savage went like viral?
Yeah, I remember that.
That was crazy. They was like, wait, well, he's British?
Yep.
Dang. So I guess, so you were born in the UK, but when did you come to the States?
So came to the States in 2002 and settled in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay, cool. So what made you want to get into tech once you started growing up? And I know like what made you want to get into tech?
So I'll be honest. I remember it was a couple months leading up to graduation.
High school or?
Yeah, it was high school.
Okay.
And basically just trying to figure out what I wanted to major in for college. And I remember going to the BLS.gov or .org. It's basically the Bureau of Labor
Statistics. Yep.
Yeah. And I was looking at the different job sectors: medical field, tech, law. And when it came to law and the medical field, it required additional schooling. And I know for a fact, I had to be honest with myself, I wasn't trying to do more than 4 years. I'm not even gonna fool myself. So to make 6 figures, I knew I wanted to make a lot of money. So when it came to 6 figures, tech or a computer science degree was the one that stuck out. I think they said on average, if you had a computer science degree, you was making about like $130,000 on average. And so imagine being 17, I wasn't thinking there was a plan to it. Let me just look it up, 6-figure job sectors. And it took me to the BLS website. So from there, I was just like, okay, tech or computer science, don't really know too much about that. So I kind of had college advisors kind of give me a little bit of detail, but I ended up going into computer science for my major when I enrolled in college.
So how was that? Like, did you graduate with your computer science degree or what happened?
Funny enough, so I jumped around. I started off with computer science, but computer science was pretty demanding, knowing math and science and calc-based physics, all that sort. And I ended up switching several times to other IT-related degrees. Information systems was one of them. Information science was another one. And I finally settled down with IT, just generic IT bachelor's. And crazy enough, I ended up dropping out just because the program that I was enrolled in specifically was programming based. And maybe it's a popular opinion or unpopular opinion, I'm not really too sure, but I hate coding personally. I just couldn't sit there and like one of those, people sitting in the dark just coding, and just to find out my program couldn't even
It wouldn't
work.
even run, yeah.
Yeah, it couldn't even run because I missed out on a semicolon. It was crazy. And I didn't really have the best experiences taking coding classes. My teachers were horrible. So I was just like, nah, I can't even do it. I was failing classes left and right. And, also living the college lifestyle, it was just not for me. I just had to be honest with myself and assess, and I was just like, nah, this is not for me. So I ended up dropping out of college, and I ended up taking the job at my favorite store, Best Buy.
Oh, okay. So you started at Best Buy.
Yeah.
And so how long were you working at Best Buy? And then what really started to get like the ball rolling for you to getting into that tech career that you wanted to get into?
So I knew that the end goal wasn't to be at Best Buy, obviously, and I wasn't planning on moving up in Best Buy. I was like, okay, this is a little intermediary job until I can find my next gig. And I will say that honestly, I was kind of just like at a point in my life where it's just like, you knew you wanted to stick with IT, but it's just like, what was the specialization? Did you want to do something in data? Did you want to do something in cyber? Or like, you didn't really know what other sectors that were out there. So my close friend of mine, actually, he was, we were going to the same college, but he ended up graduating and getting into cybersecurity himself. And there was a situation to where he kind of showed me what he was dealing with his day-to-day work. At the time, he was a cybersecurity analyst, and he ended up using a tool called Wireshark, and he ended up finding the password to my computer with my consent, of course, with my knowledge. He was just like, let me show you something real quick. And he found the password to my computer like without even me writing it down on a piece of paper. And I was like, hold up. I was like, roll that back. So he kind of like broke it down for me. And at the time, of course, I didn't really understand what he was talking about on the detailed level, just because I wasn't well versed in cybersecurity. But at that point, I was interested. That's kind of what sparked my interest in cybersecurity. But I was still in that place where I was just like, okay, I figured out what I want to do in IT, but how do I make this thing like my actual career?
Right. Yeah. So your friend sparked your interest in cybersecurity. So from there, how did you get like from Best Buy into your first tech role?
Well, what ended up helping me with that was I decided to, during my time at Best Buy, I decided to find any type of cybersecurity related degree program. And cybersecurity didn't have its own degree. It wasn't its own degree program. It was either computer science, information systems, information science, and IT. And they kind of went into their own specializations, whether it was like programming, which was the specialization for the college that I was going to. So they focused heavily on learning object-oriented programming languages like Java, C, C#. And like I said before, that's not something I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to be a programmer. So I ended up rolling in a community college.
Okay.
So the community college had I think, associate's degree in cybersecurity. and I was in that, taking a couple classes, and I think what ended up happening was I was kind of like sending out my resume, applying to jobs on Indeed for the most part, looking at help desk jobs, and just so happens to be like a contractor, short-term contracting job that ended up calling me back and interviewing me. And I was very well versed in the hardware and software, which was just, that's like the ground level, the basic knowledge for help desk. And they liked that I had good customer service skills. I had the basic level of IT, and they decided to bring me on board.
Okay, so that's how you got your first tech job. You just started, basically, you got into your associate's program, and then you started applying to a bunch of help desk jobs.
Pretty much.
So that helped you get your foot in the door in tech. Did you get any certifications while you were studying in college, or no? You just started applying?
I wasn't even aware of the whole certification game back then. I just thought degree, no degree, or just start from the trenches with experience and then just work your way up.
Right. Okay. So that's how you got your foot in the door. And then, I remember one day you ended up booking a consultation call with me.
Yeah.
And we had a consultation, and you were telling me that you wanted to get into GovTech, and you ended up like following what I told you to do. So how was that process? Like, after we had the consultation, and like what happened with your career after that?
So I think it was around July 2020. After like your feedback and your guidance, you actually told me to get my degree, which I was just like, whatever, the certification thing was what kind of, I was like, all right, this is doable. Something that's kind of like short term. You can study for a couple months, and then you can get certified, which shows your technical aptitude in that area. So you told me about Security Plus, which never heard of it. And I was just like, okay, security.
You're like, okay, Security Plus.
Okay, Security Plus, cool, and so I kind of did my own research, and I found out that it was a reputable foundational cybersecurity cert in the field. So I kind of just looked at things like Reddit and YouTube and searched up CompTIA, Security Plus, and then I saw all types of things that would pop up in that regard. So I actually it took me about a year to kind of get that, and I was studying on and off, trying to manage school and work at the same time. And there was moments where I was just, I'm not gonna lie, the concepts wasn't coming easy to me like that. Just it wasn't relative to what I was doing on a day-to-day.
Right.
So I worked with hardware and software at my help desk job, but we didn't do anything cybersecurity related from my knowledge at the time.
Right.
So I was just like, okay, we're learning about the CIA triad. We're learning about different encryption technologies. We're learning about firewalls, this, that, and the fourth. And I was having like what they would call, I guess it was moments of doubt.
Yeah.
That it was just, like,
you thought it was going to be too hard, something you basically couldn't do.
Is this really for me?
Yeah.
That those were the thoughts that was going through my head. And I kind of just stuck with it. I was just like, I'm just going to bet on this. I'm going to stick with it. And then we'll see what happens, So I ended up taking it the first time I failed. This was like, I think earlier, February 2020. And then I took, they normally say to take like a couple weeks to retake.
Yeah.
I ended up taking 6 months.
Okay.
6, 7.
Yeah.
Just because I was just like,
I was still doubting yourself, and then passed it the first time. So you're still doubting yourself, like, can you do this? Is this really what you want to do?
Just
in your own head.
Yeah, I was really in my head, and I was just like, I don't know, man. So I just decided I'm just gonna take it like one more time, and if I can't pass it the second time, then I'm just gonna move on. And I studied, I knuckled down, and you advised to use this book from Amazon. It was called Daryl Gibson's Get Ahead, Get Certified.
Yeah, get certified, get ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, this was the Security Plus 501, which this is now the 601. So
Well, shoot, they just came out with the 701, like literally like 2-3 weeks ago. I know, time flies, right?
yeah, for sure. So I read through that book. That book was probably about 400 pages.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, it's been a minute since I read a book like this. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God. So I read it twice actually, and I took a Udemy course, 2 Udemy courses actually, Mike Myers and Jason Dion, which were like $10 courses, and I took it. I was just like, I was praying to God.
Yeah.
And I was just every single moment of doubt. Everything was hitting me leading up to the test. Everything from like anxiety and doubt, and I went through it. And when I saw that I passed, I literally screamed.
You were excited.
I was excited. I was just like, this is where it starts.
Yes.
So from there, my career opportunities started to fall actually once I got my Security Plus, which was crazy because I was just like,
You didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it. I was just
tried
like,
to tell you. You didn't believe me.
it wasn't gonna be like, I was like, there's no way. It's gonna be this one little certification.
People sleep on a Security Plus.
Right.
It can really get your career going. Like, it can open up doors and opportunities for you.
Right. And you explained to me how, like, about the realm of government tech, and to a regular civilian who doesn't have a military background, I was just like, all right, man, I don't even know. I didn't know whether he was lying to me or not. I was just like, government tech? But you've never been in the military.
Yeah.
So how does that, like, I was just in my head, I was like, how are you able to get into this side of tech?
Yeah.
And you've never been in the military. So I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. So through networking with other veterans and other non-military contractors, I was able to find opportunities that, with my Security Plus, that led to my first contract in GovTech.
Yeah. So where's your first contract at in GovTech? Like, where'd you get your first job?
My first contract was in New Mexico. It was in the middle of nowhere, on a Air Force base.
And how was that? So is that where you moved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they paid for your relocation. Where'd you move from?
I was moving from Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. To New Mexico.
Yeah, to New Mexico.
Ain't never been there before, did you?
They never didn't know what to expect. I don't know. I can literally tell you, I didn't know one detail
about New Mexico.
One thing about New Mexico, and I was just like, my senses. I was just like,
yeah.
What are you doing? I don't think you should. This is
go
not
Mexico, right?
I don't think you should do this. But once the paperwork started falling through, and it was like, okay, we're gonna sponsor you for this specific thing, specific clearance.
Yeah. You didn't believe that either.
I didn't believe it.
I told him, you get your Security Plus and start applying for jobs, you'll be able to get sponsored for a clearance. But you actually really got this through networking, right? So somebody else who I actually interviewed, I helped her get into GovTech too, right? So helped her get into GovTech, her lane, right? And she ended up being a manager out in New Mexico. So they sponsored her clearance, and then they promoted her to manager. And she was like, yeah, I'm looking to bring on like 3 or 4 people. And you were one of the people she brought. And she brought on a couple other people too that had worked with me.
Yeah.
So that's how you were able to, relocate.
Right.
Really with, just help desk experience, get your Security Plus and relocate all the way to New Mexico. Did they pay for relocation? I don't know.
They gave me a little sign-on bonus, but I think at that point, I was willing to do. My mindset was I was willing to do whatever it took.
Yeah.
Once I started, I saw the evidence. I saw what it could do. I saw this was an opportunity to change my whole entire career. I was just like, let's do it. And at the time, I was actually living with my parents.
Oh, wow.
And they were just like, hold up, just relax. Like, just slow down for a bit. Like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was just like, yeah. My conviction was telling me I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And see what happens. And it turned out for the greater good. So I ended up doing a year out there, and
Yeah. So you did a year in New Mexico. What type of role was it? I can't remember what it was.
it was kind of like a help desk sysadmin hybrid role,
Mm-hmm.
imaging computers, managing Active Directory, and really just doing any type of like hardware and software troubleshooting.
Yeah. Dope. So you got your first GovTech role. They sponsored you for an amazing clearance.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened from there? Where'd you go? How much money were you making when you were working at Best Buy?
I was making probably about $14 an hour.
Okay. And then how much?
A lot to me.
Yeah. Yep. $14 an hour at Best Buy. And then how much were you making when you landed this first GovTech sysadmin role?
I was making about $50,000.
$50K. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's still more than doubled your salary.
Yeah.
And you got an amazing clearance.
Yeah.
From there, right? So from going from $14 an hour to $50K and getting a clearance and really just opening up the doors for you for your career, where did you take your career from there?
So I was looking to take a full-fledged cybersecurity role just because I was solidified on the fact that that was what I wanted to do. And I was just applying left and right. I was applying to jobs here in the States, but I was also applying to jobs overseas.
And I told you where to apply for jobs overseas too.
Right.
Yeah.
So your background, like I know you were overseas, and I was just, I was trying to kind of move towards that realm of overseas because you talked about through like Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
the benefits of being an overseas contractor. And one of the things that was stuck out to me was the tax exemption.
Yeah. You wanted that tax-free money.
Yeah, I wanted that tax-free money.
You wanted to get the tax-free money, it's the six-figure tax-free money.
Yeah, six-figure tax-free money. So I was just like, all right, like 6 figures is the next step for me. It's, I've gotten this far.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that could really stop me at this point.
Okay.
So I was applying, I was just scattershot applying left and right. And one company had reached out to me for a cybersecurity role. And
did you get any more certification before you got that, or it was just the experience you had in New Mexico?
I had some smaller certifications, I would say, that weren't as industry relevant as the Security Plus. I had like things like vulnerability management related certs, Tenable, Tenable Nessus.
Well, that's highly related.
And then what was the other one? I think I got the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner.
Okay.
And then I got the Microsoft Azure 900, which basically they were like foundational, but
yeah,
it was enough. It kind of started I didn't think that it held weight like that.
Yeah. But it helped you get that foundational knowledge and learn more, and it gave you that confidence that you could start passing more certifications.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had a company that reached out to me for an analyst role out in Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
like, this is real.
Sometimes like when things happen, it's just like, all right, like you're acknowledging that it's happening, but it's kind of like, all right, like,
yeah. Because you didn't believe me.
No, I didn't.
You still didn't believe me. I even reached out to you for a job in Qatar.
Nah.
Yeah.
So I was just, all right, cool. She told me, I didn't believe her. Well, now it's happening. So it was I went through several rounds of interviews, and I ended up getting the position. And everything you had spoken about in terms of like your own experience in Taiwan and Korea and Japan, I was kind of like starting back.
Yeah.
So they told me, okay, we're going to pay for everything. You don't have to worry about nothing. You're going to have to do, before you even go over there, you're gonna have to get some on-the-job training stateside.
Mm-hmm.
But while you're living here stateside, we're gonna pay for like your apartment.
Yep.
You're gonna give you a rental car. We're gonna give you like a stipend for feeding and all that stuff. And then after that, once you've gone through the training period and you're cleared to go, and you've gotten all your medical examinations done, we're gonna send you over there, and pretty much it's the same deal. We're gonna put you in accommodation that you don't have to pay. We're gonna give you a car, and you're gonna get what they call per diem. They're gonna give you like a daily stipend by the day. This is not like a month. This is not by a week. This is like daily.
You were getting a daily stipend. How much was your daily stipend?
The daily stipend was like about like $150.
You get $150 a day.
Right.
So that's not your salary. Like that's
right. This is
$150 a day.
Right. And funny enough, I never used it because actually on base we had access to the cafeteria.
Yep. That's all free food
that the other military members were using.
Yep.
So I was just like, I could have used that per diem money to eat out and do whatever, but I decided to like just keep it and
save it
and just eat the cafeteria food because it wasn't bad, honestly.
Yeah.
So I was able to eat healthy and still be able to like do like my day-to-day work.
Dope. So from the time frame of you getting the New Mexico job and you getting the job offer to go overseas, how long did that take?
It probably took about probably 2.5 months, 3 months.
From when you got to New Mexico?
Oh, okay. So
but when you first started applying, it took you 2.5 months to get overseas. But from when you first got to New Mexico to then getting over to Qatar, how long did that take?
Okay, so I'll probably say about a year and a half.
Yep.
Year and a half. So I decided that I was just gonna stay for a period of time and kind of just move on from that kind of job hop in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So what type of work were you doing while you were overseas in Qatar? Like what was your day-to-day like as a cybersecurity analyst? This is your first time being in this role.
So as a cybersecurity analyst, that was like my title, but when I actually got my foot on the ground, I was doing like 4 or 5 jobs in one.
Yeah.
So I was doing vulnerability management. I was scanning computers for vulnerabilities and sending the reports back to the stakeholders to basically tell them like, hey, you need to patch your workstations.
Mm-hmm.
I was also doing what they call risk management work, writing up paperwork as to why they couldn't fix or why they couldn't remediate their workstations within a certain period of time, because what I was doing was I was acting on their behalf. I was the liaison. I had to brief basically these military executives on the day-to-day incidents that occurred on the network from these workstations. Like, okay, this person decided to play games on their computer, a military computer at that. And I had to brief to them, like, okay, where they were at, what they were doing. And I had to kind of like, basically I was a policeman, putting people on blast. I had no choice.
Yeah.
I was getting paid. So, I had to, those were just one of the things I was doing. And then also, I was doing what they would call incident response. So anytime something popped off on the network, I would have to investigate and reach out to these stakeholders via email.
Okay.
Like, hey, one of our tools detected that something had occurred on the network coming from this workstation. So I would have to put things like the host name, the IP address,
right,
the username, so they know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's no games could be played because I would list all the details. And I was reaching out to basically, like, in the military sense, I was reaching out to the supervisor, the managers.
Yep.
So they would have to go to their organization and be like, okay, I need to find this person, reach out to this person. And then they would have to go through a process like user training as to why you're not supposed to do things like play games or phishing emails, stuff like
Kind of strict out there.
definitely strict. It's definitely strict.
Yeah.
More strict overseas than it is stateside. And so it was a learning experience because this was my first overseas gig. I didn't know what to expect, and I will say, just putting it out there, that the experience overseas is different from the experience
in the States.
So pretty much I was working 12-hour shifts, and that took some adjustment. There was a lot of adjustments actually, but the shifts was different. I've never in my life worked a 12-hour
shift work. Yeah.
Yeah, like a 12-hour shift at that.
You wanted to be in the big leagues.
Yeah, this is what I asked for, and honestly, once they put the contract in front of my face, I was willing to do whatever it took. I was like, all right, like this is gonna suck, but I'm working 6 days a week. But the contract
12-hour days.
Yeah, 12
How much money were you making? You were working 6 days a week, 12-hour days. You had the $150 per diem. What type of money were you making?
So overseas, given the bonuses, and everything, it was about $269,000.
$269,000. So wait, so you went from $14 an hour to $50K to going overseas.
Yep.
And making $269,000.
So what
is the span of 18 months?
Yeah. What is that, quintupled?
Wow.
That's more than quadruple.
That's more than quadruple. That's like $14 an hour to hourly. What is that? I mean, $14 an hour to hourly. That's like less than 30K. So you went from making less than 30K to $269,000 in 18 months.
Pretty much.
In GovTech.
Man, if
this ain't real, doesn't it?
It still don't, actually. If you would have told me back then, probably when I was like 21, that this was going to be my future, I wouldn't have believed you, because I'm doing all this to this day. I'll say that I'm doing this to this day, like without a college degree. And I know that there's been the debate about whether or not you can do this without a college degree or not, and I will say I'm an example of the fact that you can, and you can be very successful at it. It's kind of like your clearance is actually the golden ticket, and maybe you need 1 or 2 other certifications, and they're pretty much like the recruiters are at your knocking out your DMs.
They're knocking. They're sending you messages on LinkedIn, emailing you, texting you, they're calling you. It calls you like crazy. As soon as you get the right certs, start getting the right experience, it's a wrap. It's clearance. Like it's a wrap. It's game over from there. So now you're back in the States, right? So you're back in the States working as a incident response analyst back in the States. So how is that? Like, how's your day-to-day now? Are you still working like the same hours? How's that?
So now I'm back to working a normal 8-hour shift, 40 days a week. But as of late, I've been working overtime. I'm so used to working 12-hour shifts that working more hours doesn't bother me. So I guess, thanks to my last stint as a incident response analyst overseas, I kind of like trained my body, my senses. I'm just used to working more. So working 16 hours was nothing for me.
So you're working 16-hour days now, working overtime.
Yeah, just because once the opportunity shows itself, I'm just like,
I want the money.
I want the money. Oh yes, and that my way. Yeah, I'll work extra 8 hours. It's nothing.
Yeah.
So currently, I would work from like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and it's really nothing. It's really like a grind mindset. I just I shut out everything, and I just I focus on the task at hand, just to make sure I think about the future, what I'm trying to do in the long term. So now I'm still doing the same work as an incident response analyst, kind of continuing that experience, exploring other, trying to specialize in more so other specializations like cloud security. But right now, I feel like there's other accolades that I could be going after, like a college degree. So I realized that a college degree adds on additional experience.
Yep.
So, which is why
I told you to finish.
She told me to finish my degree.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back in and.
But that was easier though, because you could easily do just WGU, finish that up, however fast you want to do it.
Right. And funny enough, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So I am currently enrolled in WGU.
Okay.
I am specializing in WGU's cloud computing program.
Oh, okay. So you decided not to do cyber. You want to do cloud.
Right. I decided to do cloud because I felt like I already had the cyber experience.
Yep.
And I can continue to build on that cyber experience.
That's smart. So because when you combine two in-demand niche skills, that's how you make even more money.
Right. And believe it or not, cloud security is actually like a trending. It's one of the hot fields right now in cybersecurity. Yep. So I'm pursuing other AWS and other Azure certifications.
You're going to get the AWS security cert?
Right.
Yeah.
AWS security, and actually right now I'll say that I'm actually studying for the Azure security engineer cert.
Okay. Dope. All right, dope. So kind of like if somebody wants to become an incident response analyst, what type of skills do they need?
So they need more hands-on skills in terms of analyzing logs, analyzing web firewalls. They need to know endpoint detection and response tools like Splunk, which are data aggregation tool, or a SIEM, a security event management tool. They would need to kind of get their hands on those types of tools. And Security Plus doesn't really go into depth for those tools. I would actually advise going after the CYSA, the CompTIA CYSA Plus cert.
Yeah, more hands-on.
It gives you a theoretical knowledge in terms of what a cybersecurity analyst does on a day-to-day, but it's really like a lot of work. You can't just rely on the certification itself. So from that point, once you've gotten that specific cert, you should really start your own home lab, which gives you the hands-on skills to go into analyzing logs and analyzing web traffic and stuff like that.
Okay, so how could people build this home lab so they can start getting that hands-on skill set?
So it starts with buying software. I don't know if anybody's heard of VMware, but it's a virtualization platform that you can essentially virtualize your own network.
All right.
You can build your own in-house security operations center from your own desktop or laptop.
Okay, so people can start with VMware. What other kind of tools? Are there any free tools that they can use? Or do they need to pay for most of them?
I would say, like VMware, you would need to pay for, but there's a free version called a free virtualization tool called VirtualBox.
Yep.
VirtualBox, you can do the exact same thing. I'll just say it's a little more.
There's VM Fusion too. It's free.
Oh, that's on Mac, right?
Yeah.
That's probably why. Yeah, I don't use Mac. But pretty much getting your hands on VMware or VirtualBox, you'll be able to build your own in-house security operations center, and little by little you'll be able to add on open source tools, because a lot of the tools that you would use on the day-to-day, they're more so you have to pay for them. You have to have a license.
Yeah, they're like commercial.
And they cost thousands of dollars. So there's open source tools that you can download to that are free, pretty much. So you can build your own SOC with little to no cost, pretty much.
Okay. All right, cool. So people can start building their own SOC. Mm-hmm. And, we went through your whole journey and everything like that, right? So what type of challenges did you face throughout your career, and how could people learn from those challenges that you faced?
Well, first things first, just know that the realm of cybersecurity, it's not a game. It's really not. You can see the lifestyle and see the money and stuff like that, but you got to understand that it's going to take hard work. Mm-hmm. You got to constantly learn. I gave up a lot of my time, day to day, my weekends, till this day, just labbing, studying, going after these certifications, and it's really sacrifice for the longer term. Honestly, you just have to believe that it's going to benefit. The fruits are going to bear in the end. So be willing to study and constantly upskill and get your hands on skills. And I'll say that there's going to be moments that you have self-doubt, and you still have to do it even despite that. You still have to continue even despite that. So those are the two things I would say. Those were the challenges that I faced for the most part.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely some good advice there. So what's one piece of advice that you can give somebody who wants to be in your position?
Get your degree first. Get your degree first, and then probably network. I learned network late in my career, and then also build a portfolio. Start using platforms like LinkedIn. Start building up a portfolio of projects that you've been working on. Tell people about your journey. Be more transparent about your ups and your downs, and you, believe it or not, you'll connect with other people who are going through the same things as you.
Definitely. No, I definitely believe in that. You have to network, right?
Right.
You got to network. Networking is really what got your first big role.
Yeah,
That really helped you a lot, right? So having that network, we connecting the pieces, allows you to get your foot in the door there. So we went through your whole career and how it's, how much money you've been able to make and all of the ups and downs that you faced throughout your career. But can you tell me how has tech changed your life? Like, what type of opportunities has it provided for you and your family?
I would say that it was able to, obviously based on the numbers, it kind of like speaks for itself, but it was able to put me explore other avenues like investing and kind of meet other people that are in the field as well. In terms of, well, I'll say that I'm still a young guy, so I was able to, I'm 27.
She's 27.
So I actually got into GovTech when I was 24.
24. So in 3 years,
Yeah.
completely changed your life.
Yeah. Definitely changed my life. So obviously just being a younger guy, I was able to like splurge a little bit.
What you splurge on, David?
Oh man. I bought some gold.
Let me see.
So I got this.
Especially because you were in the Middle East.
Right. So this is
like that.
18 karat. I spent a couple $100 on this, and then I had a chain that when I was out in the Middle East as well, I got for like a couple thousand, worked out like 1,000 and some change or something like that.
Okay.
So
you were able to enjoy your money?
Yeah, I was able to enjoy my money, but for the most part, I was just I just wanted to focus on like saving for the longer term and stuff like that. So you got to balance. It's balance at the end of the day. Listen, to each their own, but this is during a special time. I also went during the World Cup.
Oh, you did? Did you go to the World Cup?
Yeah, I went to a couple games actually.
Okay, how was that?
So it was, man, I'm a big soccer fan, so I was ecstatic. I think this is like bucket list for me.
Yeah.
So I was going to all the games. I was supporting England, who was in the tournament, and they actually played the World Cup finalist France. So best believe, I was, talking trash to the French fans. No offense to my French people. And they was giving it to me the same way. So I definitely enjoyed my time out there. Outside of the World Cup, it was just, man, it was beautiful. I'll do it again.
You would do it again?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's how it changed your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, it gave me a life-changing experience. I think it was going to take me a couple years for me to actually explore, like, hey, I want to go to the Middle East. You know how they talk about the Middle East over on the media and stuff like that? It's actually the opposite.
Like that. Yeah.
It's not like that. It's actually very peaceful. The people are nice and they're open-minded too. Just as long as you respect their culture, they'll respect you.
Definitely. So do you think that the GovTech industry like sped up your tech career?
It did. It accelerated my career because if I would have been in that kind of like that college, that academia that academia, like just basically going to college, I felt like it would have been harder because a lot of those people are pipelined into like the big tech.
They sure are.
The big tech realm.
Nobody really talks about that. I try to talk about that. Like a lot of the tech influencers that people see on TikTok and stuff,
Yeah.
most of them went to like either Ivy League schools or top engineering schools, and they have a direct pipeline to working for FANG companies and big tech companies.
Right.
And people like us, we don't have that.
Right.
And you didn't finish college, but and I went to VCU. Our big pipeline was Altria. They are a tobacco company. Like that is our pipeline, right? So we did not have that. So for you getting into GovTech, it completely changed everything for you for your career.
It did. I will say like there's honestly like a bias compared to big tech. Well, I'd say GovTech compared to big tech, there's a bias in big tech that is kind of like, well, I mean, honestly, there's like, you got to be a certain demographic or something like that, or you didn't have a traditional software engineering background, so we don't want to put you in our internship programs. Like it was so hard for me to get an internship for the summer, just for a month, 2 months, 3 months. I didn't get a sniff of any of that. And I was putting in work, sending out resumes. I went to job fairs with stacks of resumes in my hand, dressed up.
Yeah.
Talking to all these guys, and they're like, yeah, they talk a good game, like they're telling me about their company and stuff. In GovTech. So from there, I was able to like make moves within the GovTech field without any sort of question or any bias. They just want to know, can you do the job? Do you have this knowledge? Cool. You good. We gonna give you the offer.
That's it. And I feel like that's a great way to wrap up the episode, because I really just think GovTech is straightforward, and I'm glad and grateful that I was able to meet you and have the consultation with you years ago, and to see how you've grown. Because I remember when we had consultation.
Listen, funny enough, she was actually anonymous, and I took the information. Again, it's just one of those moments where it's just like, there's doubt, but it's just like something is telling you to just like go forward with it, move on with it, with the information. And you kind of like gave me like a game. Well, you gave me like a game plan, and I implemented it. And I didn't even know like
if I was real.
I didn't even know who you were. Like I was just like, oh yeah, like peace. That's what I'm just gonna call you. Cool. Like just everything about the situation was just sketchy, but I still went forward with it. I don't know what it was. I just was like, cool, I'm gonna do it, whatever. But that immediately went away when I got my opportunities. I was just like, nah, like I'll vouch for her any time. So to all the naysayers out there, do your research. There's forums, there's YouTube videos that kind of talk about GovTech, and I will say that certain, I seek the comments that you get, stuff like that on social media, and I'll say,
crazy.
Like, you got guys that talk about like the big tech FANG companies, and then you got the people that say, oh well, you gotta have what is it?
A degree.
And stuff like that.
They say you gotta have a degree. They say you have to have experience. They say that you have to, I don't know. They say all kinds of things.
Yeah.
They say all kinds of. They say you gotta pay for a clearance.
Yeah,
They
you gotta
all
pay
types
for
of crazy stuff.
They don't pay. It's not possible. There's only two ways to actually get your clearance paid for, and that's through a sponsorship, through the company, and going to the military. And I wasn't trying to go to the military. I don't know about y'all, but I wasn't trying to go to the military.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. People in comments be tripping, but
They do. But no, it's crazy. Yeah, like when we had our consultation, I was anonymous then. So like a lot of people don't know, I was anonymous for 8 years. So we had the consult. You didn't know my name. You didn't know what I looked like. You didn't know anything. You just saw like, the people that were saying like, okay, yeah, this actually does work.
Yeah.
You got on a call with me. I told you the game plan. You followed through with it. And, you just made it work, right? You put in the work. So I'm just glad that I was able to help you, give you that blueprint and help you really change your life and help you get to where you wanted to be at. But, you followed through and put in the work, even though you faced adversity, even though you didn't pass Security Plus on the first try, you never gave up. And I always tell people that's the difference between people who are successful and unsuccessful, is that successful people just never give up. And David, you're the true testament to that.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate all the game that you gave me, because I was just like, man, this is insane. Like you as a Black person in America, you only see 3 ways for your life after high school.
Yeah.
The military, going to college, and kind of just working. Like working like working in a grocery store, or working jobs that just don't pay you as much compared to someone who's graduated college already. And I've had doubters, that would, it's just like along my path, it was like I have a degree, because I took the college route, and it's like, without a degree, you really, you a dropout, stuff like that. And, I just held that conviction, I was just like, I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to show y'all that this is different, and I'm going to change your perspective. And I was able to do that. So, I definitely credit you to that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's nothing but love, man. Like I said, I'm just happy to be able to do that. So, all right, David, thank you for coming out. I definitely appreciate that. I'm happy that I was able to help you do all that. And that wraps up another episode of Day in My Tech Life. My name is Simone B, also known as Bees. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.